Good morning. I'm John Armstrong. I'm one of the nurses in the surgical ICU. On January 2nd, Timothy was driving on a street in Police County, and there was a car that was a motorcycle, obviously, and there was a car that was crossing his lane, so he tried to avoid it and lost control of his bike, and it actually sent him across the median into oncoming traffic. He was struck by a car head-on, and that car kind of pushed him into the slow lane where he was struck again. He was awake at the scene, but obviously he was in quite a bit of distress. He was very difficult, short breath. He was having a severe amount of chest pain. He was brought here to Sacred Heart Hospital, and in the ER he was evaluated, and it was determined that he had multiple rib fractures. He had broken a lot of the ribs on his right side, 1 and 4 through 10. He had massive pulmonary contusions. He had a pneumothorax. He had broken his sacrum. He had a grade 3 splenic laceration, and so he was in a great deal of distress. Our trauma team immediately recognized that he was in dire need, so they went ahead and initially placed 2 chest tubes. He was further evaluated, and they sent him to surgery, where he had a lot of his internal injuries repaired, and he had his spleen removed. When we got him to the surgical intensive care unit, we obviously knew that he was in fairly bad shape and was not looking well. The majority of his injuries left him with the inability to breathe properly. So he was obviously intubated, and he was unable to breathe through conventional ventilator. So we actually had to bring in the oscillator, which some nurses would consider that that's kind of a last-ditch effort. Usually when patients are on the oscillator, it's a small panting breath, and usually that's a poor prognosis. Not only was he on that machine, but the trauma team also brought in a gas, which is nitric oxide, which is typically used in a pediatric setting. But that just goes to show you the heroic efforts that our trauma team is willing to do to save a life and to save an individual. And he was actually, even through that, he was still using up a number of more oxygen than what his body could tolerate. So actually had to be paralyzed on top of that. So he was also a 1-to-1, or as Scott put it, a 4 to 5 to 1, because it's not just one person. Usually it's one person in the room with a collective team supporting you, because there's no way that you can have that amount of trauma with one person. And so he was actually on the oscillator for close to 10 days. So in that first 10 days, it's very trying for the families and for us, because it's obviously touch and go. Minute to minute, he can look good 1 hour, and then the next hour he's not looking so good, and he just has that kind of that roller coaster ride appearance. After those 9 days, he was actually able to be switched back over to a conventional mode of ventilation, and he spent the majority of his ICU stay there just on that conventional mode. He spent actually 25 of his 33 days in the hospital in critical care. So we were able to get to know his family very well. His family never left his bedside, when visitation was there. They surrounded him with a lot of encouragement, positive things to say. They encouraged us, and they just wanted to pass that along. And we, as clinicians, are very honored to be able to